Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. Today's lineup, as it usually is, Roy Smalley, former Twins star, former Twins broadcaster, LaVelle E. Neal III, Star Tribune baseball guru and columnist. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. This is TalkNorth.com. If you like the show, if you like any shows on the network, and we have the best sports lineup in town, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio and presented to you by OnX Maps and OnX Fish. We'll tell you more about them later. Thanks also to Minnesota Masonic Charities and Chew Vision Institute. All right, I feel like the Twins should be giving out Greg Maddux bobbleheads this week at the ballpark because Bailey Ober pitched like Greg Maddux, and then Zebby Matthews did a fair impersonation of Bailey Ober just the other day. Really impressive pitching performances, and highlights the fact that, you know, even with all the injuries, even with Abel and Bradley and Festa out, man, the young arms have been pretty impressive. Let's start with LaVelle on that topic.
Yeah, it's been encouraging, and this is the one thing they were kind of hanging their hat on going into the regular season, was that, they have assembled this pitching inventory. Derek Falvey made a point of that, in the weeks following the fire sale last July, that he thought they were in a good spot going forward. And you're seeing that talent. Like I said, I'm really impressed with the stuff that Taj Bradley brings to the table. He's got top shelf stuff. And he's throwing more strikes with it, and he's having some success. And that's going to be a trade that's going to work out well for the Twins, trading a reliever in Jax for a starter in Bradley. I just like everything he throws up there. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I just think he's going to be a guy that one of these days he's going to throw no hitter because he's going to have everything working. He's going to have command of everything, and the other team's going to have absolutely no chance. As far as Bailey Ober, it had me going back through the Twins historical data links to look it up because I was trying to remember low pitch complete games, and I was at the Dome for Carlos Silva when he threw a 79 pitch complete game. He ended up giving up 1 run, so it wasn't a shutout. But that was remarkable. That was the year that Silva walked like 9 batters the entire season and threw like 188 innings. He had that super anvil sinker and just tore through lineups. So it says something about, being able to hit spots and change speeds. And, Bailey knew that coming into the season. Simeon Richardson is really scuffing right now, but he also knew that too. Those two guys understand what they have. They don't try to be more than what they are. And they're trying to hit their spots and change speeds and, invite contact. I know pitch to contact, kind of touches a nerve with some of the Twins fan base, but, when you don't have top shelf stuff, you still have to throw strikes with conviction. And once a hitter realizes that you're going to be over the plate, they're going to be more aggressive, and then you can use that to your advantage. So there's value to that. So Bailey's doing it. Taj does not have to be he doesn't have to worry about being cunning and guile. He can just blow people away. And I just can't wait to see Festa and Mick Abel get healthy and get back into the mix and see what they bring to the table.
And Roy, what I love is baseball has become obsessed with power and pitchers have become obsessed with velocity. We just saw 2 guys pitch great games who aren't throwing as hard as they did even a year ago.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch genuine guile, isn't it? I mean, understanding, as LaVelle said, what your stuff is and what you have to do from a pitch selection and location standpoint to make your stuff work. If Bailey Ober can't get fastball over and can't get fastball, strikes off the middle of the plate, the changeup doesn't work. And if he can't be competitive enough with his breaking stuff, to both right-handers and left-handers in the spots it needs to be, then the fastball's not gonna work, no matter how good the location is. So, it really is dependent on a pitcher, and in particular these two pitchers, knowing what their stuff is, knowing what hitters do at the plate, and knowing what they have to do with their stuff to counteract what the hitters want to do. And two great examples in a row here. We've talked about Zebby Matthews in the past, or I have, about being confused about where he was going. He's got, I think, big league stuff because of the combination of fastball velocity, which is okay, and his ability to throw 3 or 4 pitches, 4 strikes all the time. And yesterday was a good example of that. He pitched 7 innings, shutout ball, struck out 5, walked 1. Perfect. I mean, with that stuff, don't put anybody on base. Just don't, Carlos Silva is such a great example of Bell. I was at the game too. What's amazing about, that performance and Silva's performance all year is he said, look, I've got a really good sinker and I can throw it where it starts at knee high or just above knee high. And even though guys know that it's going to sink and know that they have to get the ball up, I'm going to hit it. If they take it, it's going to be a strike right at the knees or just below. And so they have to swing at it. And then they're going to ground the ball to short or second. And he just kept throwing it over. And he'd throw in a little slurvy slider once in a while. He'd throw in a little changeup once in a while. But he was just basically saying, look, I know what my stuff is. And I know you guys can't do it. If I don't put anybody on base, you guys cannot get enough big hits in any one inning to do enough damage against me. And I just wish pitchers would understand. I was just thinking about this morning. I wish pitchers would understand that walks really are, the old thing, walks will haunt, at the old Metrodome and all that. Walks are awful. I mean, they're just awful because what they allow a team to do is get one hit in an inning and wreck a pitcher. And it's almost like, look, hitting is hard. Don't we know? Everybody knows, right? The old 7 out of 10 times the best hitters in the league are going to make outs. Well, but not only that, there aren't that many 300 hitters in the lineup. So it goes to 7.5 times out of 10. The rest of the lineup's going to make outs. And they're going to make outs 5 out of 10 times if you throw them a fastball right down the middle. I mean, that's because either they're going to foul it off or pop it up, or they're going to hit a line drive at somebody. So throw the ball over. Don't walk people. Under no circumstance walk somebody. And that's what we saw the last 2 games with stuff that is not Taj Bradley stuff. It's just okay big league stuff that can become really good big league stuff if you don't walk anybody, A, and B, you know what you're doing.
Great point. Also, I loved the word combination, genuine guile. That could be a band name. That's good stuff.
Love it. Hey, Jim, to your point too, Zebby's velocity was down like a mile and a half yesterday. It seems like he's comfortable pitching that way.
Well, like I said, LaVelle, I mean, it's good enough, even down a mile and a half.
Yeah,
it's good enough.
It's
with
still
his
above
other
average
stuff. If he doesn't, and if he doesn't walk anybody. I don't want to get too excited. Marlins are not the Yankees or the Blue Jays. I mean, I don't want to get too excited. But you don't play the Marlins and the Yankees and the Blue Jays every day, and you got to beat teams that you're supposed to beat, and the pitchers did that.
What is the injury timeline, LaVelle, for Mick Abel, for Taj returning, and for Festa?
Festa was the one that had a little bit of a setback, I believe. So I think they're hoping like safely within the next 4 to 5 weeks for all 3 of them. It sounds like Mick should be online here. I haven't seen an update of him in a while, but he should be online here, getting close to returning. At least getting on the mound and throwing and facing some hitters here. I don't know what the plan is for Festa immediately, but they're probably gonna be careful with him since he took some time off. And Taj, hopefully his isn't that lengthy, that long as the others. Let me start over. I don't think it's going to be as long as very long for him to be out. So the Twins don't seem to be alarmed at what's going on with these guys. You do have to be careful when you hear the word forearm strain, because that could be a precursor to something else. But it doesn't seem like there's any worries that these guys have serious injuries. So they should be in line here soon. So we get a chance to see more of these young guys get some time, man. Get some time on the mound.
Two more pitching names to throw out here. First of all, very interesting to me that the Twins were willing to fire Rocco Baldelli, even though I don't think it was his fault that this team was losing. They were willing to fire a good hitting coach who went on to have great success with Toronto. They did not fire Pete Mackey, and the young pitchers have been impressive this year. He must be pretty good just to hold on to the job. Roy?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it feels to me like he generates a measure of calm up and down the pitching staff, and I don't know specifically, and it as an insider at all, what if I know whereof I speak, but that's what it feels like to me. And the other thing is that I think it is worth noting that pitchers come over for whatever reason. I mean, Mick Abel's a pretty good example of a guy that, I was thinking about this rotation. Joe Ryan, a big league starter, all-star potential pitcher. And Taj Bradley, frontline stuff, no question about it. Top 1 or 2 for anybody. Kind of stuff. Now we'll see how he continues to develop in his ability to locate the ball in the strike zone. But I mean, top line stuff. Mick Abel's right there too. Mick Abel, top line stuff, and can he continue to throw it over? And the reason I bring that up is because we have had several examples of pitchers come over and you go, this guy hasn't done anything with his other organization. He comes over here and all of a sudden something changes around. They change his pitch mix, or somehow talking to him, he starts throwing more strikes, or whatever it is. So, I mean, I don't know anything about whether we're right about Pete Mackey, but it seems that we are. It seems like he projects a calm. He engenders a calm throughout the pitching staff, and he's actually made an impact with several guys that appears to be significant.
Agreed. All right, let's get to LaVelle's view of that. Then we will get to hitting. Roy can't wait to get to hitting. But first, we do want to remind.
What's taking you so long?
I know it took us way too long. It was the podcast of equivalent of a 4-pitch walk. We will try to get past that and get to hitting here shortly. We do want to remind you we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
When something goes wrong at home, Aquarius Home Services makes the solution easy with one call to one team and no hassle to find a different handyman or company for each type of job. Aquarius has experts in heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. That means you get the right expert every time and solutions you can trust. Right now, enjoy $98 off any heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical repair. Aquarius, one call, problem solved. Earning the right to be recommended. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com.
Also, I can tell you about Onyx Maps. Spring is the right time to explore new water. Fish are moving shallow, activity is high, and Onyx Fish helps you identify which lakes have the conditions and species you're targeting, including weather tools to know when to go, not just where to go. It's only $34.99 for the year. That's $34.99 for the year. That's all for the year. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store or go to onyxmaps.com/fish and fish smarter this season. And here's Talk North star John Krasinski for True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington is the place to go for your vision correction needs. Go to truevision.com, set up a free consultation, go on into the folks at True Vision and just enjoy the hospitality and enjoy the education that you get in terms of the options that you have for vision correction. I had LASIK surgery at True Vision almost 2 years ago. It was an incredible experience. They bring you in. You're in and out of there very quickly, and within hours, you're seeing as clearly as I've ever seen. I have no need for the hassles of glasses and contacts anymore. And just life is smoother, life is easier since I went to True Vision. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation and then go through the motions. And by the end of it, when you come out of there, you will be saying, I should have done this 10 years ago, just like I did. True Vision, truevision.com.
All right, Roy, you get to lead off here, like Byron Buxton. Let's start with the fact that they did finally send Matt Wallner down. I think we all knew it was coming. What is your level of hope or optimism that he can be fixed at this point?
I think he's young enough and talented enough that he can be fixed. I really do. There is so much life in that bat. There's so much bat speed there. But the thing that it will always get in the way is whether or not he's willing to do any hitter, especially a young hitter with talent that's hit a bunch of home runs at the big league level, hit a ton of them in the minor leagues. Whether that hitter or any other hitter that it needs to go down and work on things can know what it is that's giving him a problem, and B, can he change so that he fixes that when he's done something different his whole life. It's a mental thing more than a physical thing, in my humble opinion. And it's just so easy to say, look, it'll come around. I can fix this. It's doing just what I'm doing because I've always done it, right? Sometimes guys fail to understand the chasm that exists between AAA and the big leagues, and it's a chasm. I tell people all the time. I tell parents, at kids baseball, I have given talks at various league get-togethers, boys baseball, right? And they want me to come and do the keynote speech at this or that, and I tell people, look, let's enjoy baseball here with our kids. Let's learn about the game together. Let's go to games and see things that the big league players do that you can, get excited about together. Your kids aren't going to play Division I college baseball. They're not.
I made that speech so many times when I was coaching youth sports. I said, I'm not here to get your kid a scholarship. I'm here to get your kid a reasonable amount of playing time and let them have a little fun.
Yeah, and the worst things for kids.
Yep.
and understand the game so that it's a lifelong pursuit and joy, because it really can be that way. And so, there's a chasm between there's a gorge between high school and Division I college. There's a chasm between everything under the big leagues, from Division I baseball to AAA, and the big leagues. There just is. And a lot of times, hitters don't realize that the chasm may not seem that big when you get up there because you have some success, but the chasm it tells you can't fail to adjust. You cannot do what you've always done necessarily in the big leagues. And I listen, you guys know me. I've talked to, great big league hitters. George Brett changed. Don Mattingly changed. There was, Miguel Cabrera changed. Guys, Torrey Hunter changed. Kirby Puckett changed. And so, you can go on and on. And these guys got arguably better talent than anybody else in the world. And what they realized is, oh yeah, they stood and looked over the chasm and they go, okay, then I got to do this, and I got to put all my energy into doing this. So the challenge for Matt Wallner, and it may be coming for Royce Lewis as well, is, okay, go down there and figure it out. And those 2 points I'll make again. What is it? Literally, actually, what is it? And then what do I have to do to fix that piece of it? And then how hard am I going to work and allow that to happen? That's the other thing. The other thing that happens is, okay, I've had success at AAA before. I go back down there. I'm working on it. Now I'm not hitting at AAA for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Now I go, well, screw this. I'm just going to go back to my other one. No, No, you are still face the chasm. You can't go back to standing on that edge of the chasm. You got to get to the other edge of the chasm.
Yeah,
Two memories jumped out at me. Well, I'll go first if you don't mind, and
Sure.
we'll get to you here in a second.
Go for
Two
it.
things jumped out at me as you were talking, Roy. Number one, Ryan Lefevre, now a Royals broadcaster, did some work with the Twins as a broadcaster for a long time. He was, I believe, an all Big Ten player, center fielder, leadoff hitter, smart, son of a baseball manager, knows his stuff, athletic, ran well. And he said, I think he got drafted later rounds by, I think it was Cleveland. And he went to camp, or he joined whatever, I can't remember whether it was training camp or whether he joined a team midseason. And he got there and he took some batting practice and he looked around at the locker room and he started seeing the skills and the talent. He goes, I'm going to have to find a real job. I can't do it. These guys are bigger, stronger, faster. They hit it 8 miles. I hit it 8 feet. I got no chance. I mean, doesn't matter how good I was in college. I can't play this game. And the other one I remember I went down, I was doing a story on somebody at AAA Rochester. I can't remember who it was. Rochester, when the Twins had their AAA team in Rochester, New York. Went there to do a story, and I was actually talking to somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but I saw Justin Morneau down there, and it was about the fourth time he had come up, failed, and gone back down to the minors. And I walked in, and you could see on his face like, oh, I stink right now, and Souhan's here to rip me. This is not going to be any fun. And I went up to him and said, not writing about you, Justin. Best of luck. I'm not here to pick on you. And I remember watching Justin in that game, and he hit a ball like as far as I've ever seen anybody hit a baseball. I mean, he got a pitch and he just freaking crushed it. He was just way too good for AAA. Way too good for AAA. They could not get him out, and he couldn't hit Major League pitching until he got his head right. And it was the physical stuff was always there. We know now that he's one of the smartest hitters of the last 20, 30 years, and yet it took him like 5 years to figure out how to hit Major League pitching.
That's a good point, Jim, because that's where I was kind of headed with my remarks, because I think Wallner's got to flush and refill. It's kind of like a bad radiator fluid. He's got to flush and refill, and that's from a mental standpoint, because he came to the season, hadn't made adjustments to his swing. He had worked on making adjustments, and the adjustments didn't work. So he probably got punched in the face with that. And he's probably still like reeling from that a little bit, trying to figure out, well, I thought I made the right adjustment here. It's not working, So mainly he's got to just, get back to the beginning here. Look, I got to rebuild myself up from square one and just find something that works and runs with it. The mind, interferes with hitting a lot. And that was my interview with Tony Gwynn years ago. I was doing a Jock Jones story. I asked him, we were talking about Jock. And he was just like, I said, Tony, the mind interferes with hitting. And Tony goes, a whole heck of a lot. And the thing with Jock is, he's got to stay off the high cheese and hit the ball hard in center field. He'd be fine. So someone needs to tell Wallner that, he just has to, just calm down and relax, see the ball and destroy it. He was not in the lineup yesterday for St. Paul. St. Paul's game was rained out, which I think there's shenanigans involved, because I live 7 miles away from that stadium and I got drizzle. So I don't know why they decided to postpone the game yesterday, unless both teams' pitching staffs were wrecked. I don't know. But I'm guessing he'll be in the lineup Friday. This is Friday, May 15th. And he can start rebuilding himself up. And probably don't even look at the results. Don't even look at the stats. Just focus on where he is with his swing, where he is with his timing, and then start worrying about making hard contact. He's got to just kind of start putting those building blocks back together again, and hopefully just because he becomes something better than he was before.
Yeah, the problem that I have with that, LaVelle, and you're absolutely right about everything you said, but except that I didn't see the change. I didn't see how, okay, I've made these adjustments. I didn't see any difference in what you guys know I've been saying for 3 years about his mechanic, his big leg kick, where he lands with his front foot, the timing of when he lands. And I didn't see any difference. And what I saw was the same fastball down the middle, swing and miss, or foul it back. And I really believe that open stance, high leg kick, stomp down with your front foot, that front foot has to land so perfectly on time And I mean, it's a microsecond, but because it throws his hands and therefore the big end of the bat into a path that's not squaring up with the line of flight of the ball, and that's the issue. Now, what can you do about it? I hope that there's somebody that can get with him that can convince him that that is never going to be consistent. That open stance and then dive toward the plate with his front foot, with his front step. That is never going to work in the big leagues for him. It throws the path of the big end off. And I mean, I may be wrong, and he may get it figured out, and everything will be the same. Maybe it's just his head. I don't believe so. Your head can get it in a way, but your mechanics start it. Your mechanics start the problem, and then your head goes crazy. And so I just think that he's got to change that a little bit. I could be dead wrong, but I'm going to go down with that ship.
I think he should go back and look at Paul Molitor in 1996. Paul went from, young Paul Molitor. If you went back and look at videos, hands are moving all over the place. Body's kind of twitching. He's kind of getting his muscles activated, and then he's reacting once the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. By 1996, he didn't move at all until the pitch was on its way. And he was able to hit to all fields. He was able to hit with remarkable power for a 41-year-old. I know that's an extreme, and I'm not saying Wallner can go from what he's doing now to all the way 1996 Paul Molitor, but he can learn something from it.
I got a couple of things about that, if you don't mind. I talked to Paulie one time, and I was talking to him, as we always do. We talked a lot of baseball around Target Field, and when he was managing, and I used to talk to. We played against each other for a long time, and I saw all of that. And Paul actually did move, even when he calmed it all down. He had a really nice gather on his back leg, on his backside, that you didn't really see, but he did it. He gathered kind of as he softly put his front foot into the foundation from which he was going to swing, right? So a lot of guys, they step and swing. And what really works is, as you're seeing the ball and you're gathering on your backside, your front foot just goes out and establishes the base, right? It's not a step and swing. It's a step as you're seeing it, and then your foot's already down there, and your backside can fire at the ball, and you can be on time, a lot of the time, especially when you have Paul's kind of talent. But the other thing that Paulie did was, he said, I could hit a fastball, but they were throwing all kinds of breaking balls. And he said, I sat down and said to myself that, first or second year, I got to figure out how to hit a curveball. These guys got some good breaks. I got to figure out how to hit that. And he was so smart. He would figure pitches, right? And he'd look for breaking balls, and he'd kill breaking balls. And then he'd know they were going to throw him a fastball. And now, with that new, really soft approach of his, he could hit any fastball. And so he just figured it out, right? But it started first with his mechanics. Get yourself in a position where your hands can deliver the big end of the bat. I imagine one of these times we're going to talk about Austin Martin. What I've always loved about Austin Martin was he's kind of Molitor-ish. And I'm not making a comparison. He's going to be that good. I'm just saying he's Molitor-ish in that he's got a real soft front leg. He's soft stride. He gets himself into nice position with his front foot in his hands, and he's able to swing the big end of the bat at the ball. That's why he's hitting the line drives and making contact, not striking out, seeing the ball well. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And with Wallner, with the big leg kick and the stomp out there, it's just so hard to have that timing right and be able to bring the big end of the bat. What I did one time in the same situation is, I just slid my front foot. I never let it leave the ground. I just I would get back on my backside, and as the pitch was coming, I'd slide right along the dirt. My front toe spike would draw a line as I was striding out toward and it just completely simplified some things for me, and everything just kind of fell in. I didn't do that, the rest of my career, but I was not having any fun. And I thought, I think my timing is off with all this stuff. And I can remember the first time I tried it was the bottom of the ninth in the Yankee Stadium, and Jim Slayton was pitching for the Brewers. And I was mainly a fastball hitter, and everybody knew it. And I got up there, and I'm just looking for the ball. It's bottom of the ninth, winning run on second or third, and he threw me a little slider. And I lined it to center. I did my little toe slide, and my hands were back, and I saw the ball like a beach ball, and I just slapped the ball into center field. Game over, right? And it was like immediate results for all the right reasons. And so I think Wallner needs to do something like that, where he's much more square in his or even a little bit open in his stride. And set it down softly on time and let his hands do the work, because those hands are dynamite. I mean, he just delivers so much bat speed, but he's getting in his way.
Very well said. And as always, what you guys say reminds me of things, and the things I was thinking about, Roy, as you were going through that. First of all, you
had a lot of time to think.
Yeah, well, it was good stuff. I mean, that's the great thing about a podcast. We're not up against a hard break. We can actually have full thoughts and full discussions. That's what I love about this. That's what I always loved about this show. And it's great to have you guys on it. But I was thinking, you're talking about Molitor figuring out opposing pitchers. One of my favorite baseball stories is Paul Molitor, when he was a kind of a roving instructor for the Twins in the minor leagues. I don't know what his title was, but that's basically what he was doing. He was an A-ball and working with the guys pregame. He sits down on the dugout before the game. By the end of the first inning, he had stolen all the other team's signs. By the end of the second inning, he was calling out what pitch was coming before the opposing pitcher started his delivery. He said, "There go curveball and curveball."
When I got on Roy's long speech, there was that this episode description should be Roy compares Austin Martin to Paul Molitor.
That would be taken out of context, LaVelle. We don't do that. We don't do that. The other thing,
we're accused of it all the time.
The other thing, Roy, that you said that really kind of lit a light bulb is, I remember also AJ Brzezinski during Mauer's first spring training. And AJ knew what was happening. He knew he wasn't long for the Twins, that Mauer was going to replace him, and they were going to trade him. And as immature as AJ can be about a lot of things, he was actually very mature about that. He knew it was happening. He knew he read the room. But he said it was before spring training started, and a lot of guys were getting swings in on the minor league complex just informally. And AJ and Mauer ended up kind of hitting at about the same time one day. And next time I talked to Brzezinski about it, he goes, Joe does, and he talked about the soft front side that you talked about, Roy, and the soft gliding first step, and everything being kind of, composed and keeping his weight in his hands back. He said, bleep it, everything I've always been taught that I can't do, Joe Mauer's already doing.
Yeah, if you were gonna get a poster child for the appearance as a hitter that you really didn't give a shit about anything. Joe McKay, he was just front foot, would just go out there and he'd just, deliver the big end of the bat of the ball and then go down to first or second, wherever the ball ended up, and yawn about it. It's just same old thing.
There's
pretty couples.
Yeah, there's more than one way to hit a baseball. I mean, I grew up watching Harold Baines, and then as I got older, it was Dave Winfield. And then when I started covering baseball, it's Gary Sheffield waving the bat like he's swatting at a fly before the pitch is coming to the plate. But it all worked out for them, and that's what Matt's got to find out. Because when he's going bad, it looks like his swing is in installments. It's like step A, step B, step C, and by that time the ball's past him. So he's just got.
Yeah, and the thing about all those guys that you were talking about, they're so different than Mauer and everybody else is. Yeah. They were never in installments. No, no matter how kind of movement, no matter what they did, when their front foot landed, their hands were back, and they were in a position to deliver the big end of the bat to the ball on time. And when you're not doing that, then you have to look and say, okay, what is the reason why I'm fouling balls and swinging fastballs down the middle, fouling them back, or swinging them middle? What's the reason for that? And it can be very different for different guys. But at the end of the day, you have to be, when your front foot lands, it has to be a positive for where your hands and big end of bat and not a negative.
Great stuff, guys. Let's save the booze and blues stories for next episode. We had so much good baseball talk today. I think that's a wrap for today. Next week, I do want to talk more about Kendry Rojas is the one good young pitcher we really didn't talk about much. I'd like to talk about him. If the Twins continue to hang around contention, let's talk about what could realistically happen there. And maybe we'll talk a little more about Ryan Jeffers having such a good all-around season. For today, thank you to Roy. Thanks to LaVelle. Thanks to our producers. Thanks to Aquarius Home Services, Onyx Maps, and True Vision Institute. Thanks for all the good work that Tammy Henderson, our sales executive, vice president of business development, is doing. And we'll talk to you next week.